Hello and welcome back to the Navigating 20 Something podcast. If you are new here, my name is Charlotte. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I have already recorded this podcast and then I dropped my camera and it came up saying something about an error with the memory card, and then the footage was no longer there. So, we go again. Today we are going to be talking all about kind of the change that happens in your 20s when I feel like you start to embrace a lot of the things that you spent a lot of your teenage years and maybe your early 20s rejecting. So this is something that's come around for me and something that I wanted to talk about in the wake of 1989 Taylor's version. I think it's something that a lot of us can relate to. It's a lot that I've seen on social media, is that so many of us kind of spent teenage years feeling really embarrassed of liking Taylor Swift, maybe not really liking her because we didn't want to be like other girls, we wanted to be different, we wanted to be the cool girl, so we rejected things like Taylor Swift, and now we are rejecting the idea of rejecting things for an aesthetic, and we are just embracing what we genuinely like. So that's where we're at today, that's what we're talking about. But firstly, can we just take a moment for how fucking good 1989 Taylor's version is? It's not my favourite album. I'm not a massive pop girly. But that album is the pop blueprint and no one can argue otherwise. Like, that album is the definition of pop. If someone asked me to write a dictionary definition of pop, I would give them 1989 Taylor's version. So good. And the vault tracks, so fucking good. I do think that they are the best vault tracks like of any album. Like, I don't know what she was doing during the time that she was writing 1989 Taylor's version, but it was incredible. Anyway, now that that is said and done, let's just jump into the main part of the podcast. So, talking all about kind of the whole enjoying, well, or embracing the things that you like. So the thing that I found was I did embrace the things that I like until I got to about 14, and if you are the same age as me, I'm 25, then you will have grown up in the Tumblr era. And, you know, I feel like such a big part of the Tumblr era was picking aesthetics and picking a vibe. And I feel like it made me feel like I had to reject other parts of myself and other parts of my personality and my interests because I had to fit the aesthetic. And that's definitely like a really big part of my experience as a teenager and why I rejected a lot of the things that I now absolutely love and actually did love all the time. Like, for example, sticking with like the theme of Taylor Swift, obviously 1989 is the reason we're doing this podcast. I love Taylor Swift ever since like Love Story came out. Like, obviously I don't think Debut properly came out in the UK, so Love Story was the first time I heard Taylor Swift and I was a big fan. I think Fearless was my first ever CD, like literally big fan. But when Speak Now came out, I loved that. When Red came out, I loved that. But then when it came to 1989, I actually have no recollection of like listening to that album, but like I know I listened to it, but I feel like because I was so in my like rejecting the whole like I was rejecting the things I like because I was so obsessed with the idea of being a cool girl. You know, like the real Tumblr aesthetic, the Arctic Monkeys, the record players, the little aliens, the Brandy Melville, the American Apparel tennis skirts, the whole grunge vibe, indie, alternative, whatever you want to call it, the Tumblr vibe of 2014 and 2015. I was so obsessed with having to fit that. I like was rejecting everything else. Like, I felt like I had to be a cool girl. All I wanted was to be a cool girl. Like, I literally was trying to live my life like I was the main character of a John Green novel, which is silly. That man writes crazy characters. But like, so I read Looking for Alaska and I became obsessed with the female character in that. I think her name was Alaska. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know, you guys know who I'm on about if you've read the book. But like, I must have been 16 or 17, 16. And I made a list in my notes on my phone of places in Europe that I would be able to drive to once I got my driving license, because my little my Delulu head up here was so obsessed with being a cool girl, John Green novel kind of person, that I was like, I'm gonna run away in the night, I'm gonna escape, I'm gonna go to like one of these places in the middle of the night and none of you are gonna know, I'm just gonna be gone. Delusional. But I was obsessed with this. I was obsessed with being this cool girl, so I was rejecting the other things that I actually liked. Taylor Swift, One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer, like the fangirl things that through my early teens I was like, woo woo woo, I'm a fangirl, woo woo woo, I have a fan account, woo woo woo. I had to reject them. And then this kind of delusion of needing to be a cool girl, like it changed in different ways as the aesthetic of what being a cool girl was through time started to change. I left the delusion of I'm gonna run away in the middle of the night to abroad. That left, and I got more into like the Kardashians and that side of things, and I was still rejecting the things I genuinely liked, but just in different ways. And as I like went through my 20s, through lockdown was a very transformative time for me. I feel like that is when I truly started to just enjoy the things that I genuinely enjoy again. So like this is obviously when Folklore and Evermore came out. I feel like rediscovering Taylor's music through those albums really made me realize like, oh my god, I love her, and I have loved her this whole entire time, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it anymore, because I started to see more and more people that really liked her. And you know, I was engaging with all of that content on TikTok. I was very much a part of that without posting about it, because in a way I guess the reason I wasn't posting about it because I still felt like a little bit embarrassed. And then I just stopped being embarrassed. I started to become way more comfortable with myself. I think a massive part about why we hide these parts of ourselves is because we don't feel comfortable and we don't feel confident within ourselves, so we constantly feel like we need to try and pretend to be someone else and pretend to have different interests that make us come across as this cool girl that we are not. Maybe we're not that cool girl, and that is okay. It is a-okay. It is so completely okay that we are not the cool girl and we don't fit the cool girl aesthetic. I lost my trail of thought on that little ramble. But yeah, I think I was saying that like some of it just comes with that confidence that we get as we get older, because I definitely like, I wasn't confident when I was younger, which I think is why I had to constantly hide behind not liking things I actually like, because I didn't have the confidence. My camera cut out, so take 500 at this point. So yeah, like I was saying, I didn't have the confidence to just embrace the things I actually liked. I had to hide behind this persona of someone else. I couldn't just like what I wanted to like, because I don't know, I think I was just scared of like who I actually was, and I didn't maybe like the person or the perception of the kind of person that I was. I felt like, again, I had to be this cool girl. And then if I actually think about the girls that I found to be these cool girls and I wanted to emulate, they were just liking things that they genuinely liked, and their authenticity and the fact that like everything they did was authentic to who they were and what they liked. That was what made them cool. Do you know what I mean? Like if I think back to like the influencers or like YouTubers or just like the Tumblr girlies that I like was so desperate to emulate, none of it was forced. Like they were just themselves, and then that was what made them the cool girls. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I was so desperate to hide behind that aesthetic and who they were, I couldn't embrace who I was. And I definitely think that that was a huge part of it, like just needing to hide myself. I felt like if I liked the things I genuinely liked, people wouldn't like me, boys wouldn't like me. And I mean like boys didn't like me even pretending to be a cool girl. I was single. I've always been single all the time, pretty much. But yeah, like I had this weird idea that if I was like that, then I'd be more liked, which is dumb because like why would it's so exhausting trying to pretend to be someone that you're not. And I was so prepared to constantly do it and constantly pretend to be someone that I wasn't, which is just silly. Like, it's downright silly. But yeah, anyway, I feel like coming into my mid-20s, I was able to become so much more secure within myself and my likes and my dislikes, and like I don't care anymore if what I like isn't cool, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't fit with what other people want from me or whatever else. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just want to like the things that I like and shout about the things that I like and enjoy them with people, because one thing that I don't want to say regret, but like one thing that upsets me about the fact that I live my life like that is the fact that now, when using Taylor Swift as the example again, whenever there's a re-release, my whole For You page is filled with like friendship groups doing listening parties and going and all buying CDs and vinyls together because they all like Taylor and they've all kind of grown up doing that. They have like pictures from like the last 5 albums where they've done that, and like I don't have that. And maybe if I'd have, you know, spent more time being honest with the things I like and just enjoying the things I like and not caring so much about what other people thought, maybe I would have that. Maybe I wouldn't be going to Eras Tour by myself. Maybe I wouldn't have had, like, maybe I wouldn't have gone to the movie with my mum. Like, those two things don't bother me, but you know, it definitely is something that plays on my mind a lot, is the whole idea of like, if I'd have just embraced what I genuinely like earlier, I'd maybe be surrounded by people that actually like have those interests with me, and I wouldn't feel so alone within those interests sometimes. Because, you know, like if you don't have people that are, like, obviously it's the reason that I pretended, well, one of the reasons I pretended not to like these things and didn't embrace liking these things is because no one around me did and I wanted to fit in with them. So yeah, it's definitely like a really difficult part, I think, of not embracing who you really are or not embracing the things that you really like. And I definitely feel like now in this new stage of life, like I'm so over that. I just want to enjoy the things that I enjoy and not give a shit about what other people have to say about them. Because if someone's really at the big age of like my age or older, like if they're gonna judge me for liking things I genuinely like, then that is absolutely a them problem. It's not a me problem. I'm happy, I'm enjoying my life. They're the weirdos. And that's definitely like the logic that I am taking into this age and this era of my life, is just enjoying what I enjoy, not enjoying what I don't enjoy, and not forcing myself to be someone else or like something else. Like I remember so vividly, like everything I did, I had to like check Tumblr or check I guess Pinterest wasn't so much of a thing, mainly Tumblr. Check Tumblr to see what the girls that I like thought were cool girls, what they were doing, if they would wear something like that. I couldn't like think for myself because I had to like hide what I liked. And I guess something that's kind of funny about this is that like now I'm having this realization of like enjoying the things that I enjoy regardless. The things I enjoy are actually things that a lot of people enjoy. Like I've never been alone in what I enjoy. It's never been like, I don't know, like I always just liked things other people liked, and I was so obsessed with pretending that I didn't, when actually I could have been finding genuine friendships and having genuine connections with people over things I genuinely liked, rather than faking and panicking over things I didn't like. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a weird time, like it really is. But yeah, and I've definitely lost my trail of thought a lot with this, but that's just what this podcast is. I should have called it Losing My Trail of Thought Podcast .inc. Don't know why .inc. Anyway, yeah, I just feel like a big evolution that I've had in like the last few years is just learning to embrace the things I actually like and just not caring if other people don't like those things, because it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't matter. People's perception of you doesn't matter, and people are going to perceive you in so many different ways. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different spheres of my life where I know I'm being perceived a different way from different people, regardless of how I actually present myself as a whole, regardless of like what music I listen to, what movies I'm into, how I dress. Like, a lot of people are going to perceive me in different ways just from like the way I actually like act, or the career I'm in, or like people probably perceive me in a different way because of the fact I do this podcast. Regardless of what the podcast is actually on, people perceive you differently, or like where I live or anything. Like, people are always gonna have these weird perceptions of you, regardless of whether you like enjoy things that you actually enjoy or you pretend that you like certain things. So don't pretend, just enjoy what you enjoy. And remember that like life is so much more fulfilling when you are doing the things that you enjoy and enjoying things that you enjoy and not faking everything, because eventually it's going to catch up with you. It's going to catch up and you are going to realise that you have spent so much time not enjoying things that you genuinely enjoy. My camera batteries come on again, so I am going to wrap this up here because I think there's just been a whole lot of waffle for this last part. But thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you have related to this in some way, shape or form. That is what this podcast is all about, just talking about things that like I relate to and a lot of people I know my age relate to. And yeah, go and enjoy something that you enjoy yourself, regardless of what other people may or may not think about it.